Hello and welcome to the show. I hope you are very well. We've got so much to get through today. How about this for a massive royal story? Prince William could strip Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles, His and Her Royal Highness, once he becomes king. Now, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex retained their HRH status after stepping down from royal duties in 2020, but they agreed not to actively use those titles. But a palace insider has told the very respected Daily Beast website that, and I quote, "It's no secret William wants Harry more harshly dealt with than his father. He thinks that Harry has betrayed the family from top to bottom, which is the ultimate Windsor crime. It wouldn't take much," says this insider, "to provoke him to flex his muscles when he is king." So what happened to Harry and Meghan when they stepped down in 2020 is they kept the HRH but weren't able to use it publicly. They lost their taxpayer-funded security. They gave up Frogmore Cottage, which wasn't good enough for Meghan, even though it's a massive, beautiful house that was redecorated to the tune of millions, but not good enough for our Duchess. They agreed not to use HRH in public or in a commercial context. But despite this, they have been testing the waters with HRH. Most recently, of course, we talked about it on the show, when Meghan deliberately reposted an Instagram message from the Vice President of Ukraine, referring to her and Harry as Your Royal Highness, because it was to Harry and Meghan, and it was collectively Your Royal Highnesses. So it was a total act of war on her part to post that. This will have gone down like a lead balloon over at the palace. And it's my understanding that William is furious about it. He's also furious about the fact that Harry has gone to Ukraine. Now, Prince Harry made a surprise visit to Ukraine earlier this month, a trip that has intensified the ongoing rift between the royal brothers. And after attending a court hearing in London regarding his security arrangements, where he was worried about his safety, he heads to an international war zone to go and cheer up the troops. Can you imagine anyone less qualified to cheer up injured soldiers than the world's least happy millionaire, Prince Harry? So he was in Ukraine, where he visited wounded soldiers at the Superhumans Centre, a rehab facility. The visit was kept confidential until after his departure, and it's believed that Harry did not inform Buckingham Palace beforehand. So where is the courtesy in that? That Harry doesn't inform the palace, doesn't tell his brother, doesn't tell his father. This guy thinks he can do what the hell he wants. Prince William had previously expressed a desire to visit Ukraine. So William, by the way, who's a proper royal and the next in line to the throne. Now that is going to cheer the spirits of any troops in Ukraine, isn't it? Of course it is. One of the world's most famous men, the guy that will be king following Charles. A visit from him, that has status, that has impact. But William has wanted to go to Ukraine, but he's been advised against it. Palace officials have said that he can't go because of security concerns. It's my understanding that William is very frustrated about this. Sources indicate that he voiced his displeasure to Kensington Palace staff, feeling sidelined by Harry's ability to make the trip. And that's the great irony of Harry's pity party, is that actually Harry's got amazing freedom. He's got millions in the bank. He's world famous. He's got his royal connections. Harry is the luckiest man on the planet and just doesn't know it. Meanwhile, I would argue that William's got a hard life and plenty to feel sorry about. He's got a wife that's just recovered from cancer. It's been a, borderline here and there single parent family. He's been supporting his father who's got cancer, picking up more royal duties. And then he's got this terrible, disloyal brother, the prodigal prince, who's thrown the family under the bus. William's had an awful few years, but has he complained? Does he show it in his face? No, he always looks immaculate. He's always smiling. He's working just as hard as his father. He's an absolute rock star royal. And being such a rock star, he'd like to go to Ukraine, but he can't. So what an upstart Harry is. Essentially, snubbing his nose at his brother, saying, nah, I'm going to Ukraine, but you can't. Royal commentators have suggested that Harry's actions may have been intended to provoke William. Charlotte Griffiths, who's the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, brilliant journalist, good friend of mine, must get her on the show, noted that Harry knows exactly how to push his brothers buttons, implying that the Ukraine visit was a deliberate move to outshine William. Now, William, by the way, has got his revenge because he has rehired Jason Knauf as the new CEO of the Earthshot Prize, which is the big environmental award that young William is now the face of. The move has caused controversy as Knauf was the central figure behind those allegations about Meghan bullying royal staff. Now, remember, there was an investigation, the details of which were never published. So was Meghan a bully? We will never know. You'll have to read between the lines on that one. I think we know the answer. The bullying allegations related to an email from Knauf in 2018. Bullying of one individual, said Knauf in the email, and seeking to undermine her confidence, engaging in unacceptable behaviour. Allegations about Meghan Markle whilst a serving royal. Witnessed, by the way, by multiple staff members. That's what it said in the email. The email surfaced shortly before Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview in 2021. So Knauf is now back in the fold, part of the firm, working for William. And that is William saying, you know what? If you're going to attack me as my brother and throw me under the bus, well, hold my beer, because I'm going to hire the man that's responsible for serious allegations about your wife that she's denied, but that plenty of people believe may have veracity. This guy, by the way, Knauf, he spoke to 60 Minutes just recently, just a few weeks ago, and he said the following. He said he had no regrets about raising concerns, defended his actions with a clear dig at the Sussexes. By the way, I think I should call them the Markles, because it basically, Meghan's in charge, isn't it? You know, you've got Meghan, then you've got my husband. That's it. The poor man doesn't even get a name anymore. He's H, my husband. So, yeah, and this is a great line from Knauf, right? This is the guy that's heading up William's project. He's basically, it's Team the Firm versus Team Sussex. And Knauf is firmly in Team the Firm. By the way, which team are you in? Let me know in your comments. Knauf said, it's a great quote about Meghan, clearly. You can't choose just to take the fun stuff in any job. And he goes on to say, that applies to the prince and princess as well as everyone else working for them. Ouch! Beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. But there could be more revenge because, and this is the big story at the heart of today's video, and I find it absolutely tantalizing, which is that when William becomes king, and we all can pray that that's a very long time from now, but Charles is an older man. He's not going to be king forever. And it could be at some point in the not too distant future. Let's hope it's many years. But whenever it happens, I believe that William becoming king is going to make life very uncomfortable for Harry. I think it's his worst nightmare because he's created a big enemy in William by being so disloyal to the family. And William has got loyalty in his bones. He is loyal to his court. Loyalty is in William's deoxyribonucleic acid. Is that what it's called? DNA? I wasn't that good at biology. I had an excellent biology teacher, a Polish man called Muk Matuzak. Let's hope he's watching. But I had no talents in the biology department. I found that photosynthesis and the manner by which plants grow to be resolutely dull. What I don't find dull, but by the way, that Muk Matuzak tried to make it interesting. And he was a very lively character with a wonderful thick moustache. But what I do find a lot more interesting than photosynthesis and deoxyribonucleic acid is this possibility that William removes the HRH titles. So I've been doing some research on this. So don't forget that Meghan reposted the Your Royal Highness letter this month, which is basically, she's broken the deal. There was an unspoken deal not to use those titles. She's posted it on social media. She broke the deal. She broke the contract. If only there was a way that the firm could sue the Sussexes. That would be fine, wouldn't it? Because Harry is addicted to court cases. He's suing everyone. So why doesn't someone sue him? He's already got the lawyers. He's got the prison suit, or not prison suit. Well, we can but dream. He's got the going to court suit, hasn't he, with that miserable face of his. By the way, a lot of you agree in the comments that old Harry, the H-bomb, my husband, is getting a bit chunky. Bit of a porker. It's all those delicious with love Meghan treats that the wife is making for him. It's all the flower sprinkles, isn't it? Some of you think it's the beers, and some of you speculate that it's his old drug use, previous drug use, not current, I hasten to add, previous drug use, coming back to haunt him. You see, what happened is that when you take those mind-altering substances, you get something called the munchies, and it makes you very, very fat. I think that's happened to old H-Bomb. I think he needs to go keto very strictly. So a Palace insider said it's outrageous that she posted the HRH message because she agreed not to use it. Every time you think they can't make it worse, they make it worse. The deal with the HRH was a way to stop them cashing in whilst letting them walk away with pride and dignity and trust. And now Markle is using her HRH on a website which is basically there to sell jam. That is 100% true. Another person has said that the HRH repost was deliberately calculated. Now, I think there's so much in that. These insiders have said that what they've done, what the Sussex has done, is walk away from this agreement. Now, the question is, will Harry have tried to stop her from posting that HRH message? I think even if he did, he's powerless to, because Meghan decides everything. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets. But let's get into the bones of whether or not young William can strip the couple of their titles. Okay, so I really want to get to this because I think it's very, very interesting. I've actually looked at the legals of it. So can I tell you about whether it's possible for King William? By the way, doesn't that trip off the tongue? King William. The prospect of him becoming king is exciting. So could he strip their titles? Okay, the answer is yes. He can get rid of his and her Royal Highness titles from Harry and Meghan when he becomes king, but it's not automatic, and he would require a formal legal process. Here's how it works. I've done the science, so you don't have to. A monarch, a reigning monarch, which is what King William would be. King William of the United Kingdom. How good is that? I nearly said United States. Let's not get carried away. I think we lost that war. Although I'd love to have America back, but anyhow. Maybe some kind of union would be good at some point. A merger. Oh, how formidable would that be? The United States and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom states. Yes, please. So the monarch can remove HRH. The reigning monarch has the authority to amend or revoke styles and titles, including HRH, through something called letters patent, right? A letters patent. It's a legal instrument issued by the sovereign, by the king or queen, under the royal prerogative. So a letters patent is a formal declaration by the king, in this case, King William, used to create or alter royal titles, define succession rules, types of address, and more. For example, King George V issued letters patents in 1917, limiting the HRH title to just close royals. So there you go, King George V, a bit of a revolutionary there. Elizabeth II, the much loved and much missed Elizabeth II, issued letters patent in 2012 to ensure all of Prince William's children would be titled Prince and Princess. So how would William remove HRH from Harry and Meghan? And wouldn't it be the most delicious thing if he did that? He becomes king and he strips them of HRH. You know what they say? Revenge is a dish best served cold. By the way, can I just say my decaf has gone cold? This is the mug of the day, which I bought whilst a student at the Edinburgh University, which is one of the finest seats of education. Hopefully, I mean, I think it's clear I demonstrate what a quality outfit that place is. Delicious, as always. By the way, this was handcrafted, baked in a kiln, that kind of thing. A lovely homemade mug with a homemade coffee in it. So let's just get to this. How Harry and Meghan removes HRH. He would issue a new letters patent, specifically revoking their right to use HRH. The order would likely state that whilst they remain Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they may no longer be styled His and Her Royal Highness. This document would be countersigned by government ministers, typically a formality but required for legality. And they should have done that in the first place. They should never have had HRH once they gave up their royal titles. And this very polite British solution, which is, well, keep them but don't use them, didn't work. Meghan's broken that. And here's why it was a mistake and why they should have taken them unilaterally, is because Meghan is, I think, well, she's a controlling person. Some people think she's a bully. She's a control freak, obviously. And she's a dictator. Meghan is a dictator. She has all the elements. She's got the ego, the narcissism, the desire for control, the bullying nature, the mercurial behavior, the unhinged remarks. And so as a dictator, you know as well as I do, history tells us that appeasement doesn't work. You can't appease dictators. Someone like Meghan, give her an inch, she'll take a mile. My husband. Princess Catherine is my friend. I like Princess Catherine. Upon her, I wish no harm. So, they're still Duke and Duchess. It's my understanding, I need to do some more work on this, but I think, unfortunately, if you wanted to get rid of Duke and Duchess, you'd need an Act of Parliament. So, I've got a solution to get rid of the Duke and Duchess. So, that would require, I believe, parliamentary legislation. Here's my fix for that. William becomes king, right? How old's Charles? He's in his late 70s. So, let's hope that Charles lives to 100, okay? So, Charles passes on his 100th birthday, at which point William becomes king. At that point, because I look after myself, I'm in good health, I'll be Prime Minister by then of the United Kingdom. I might, by the way, be Prime Minister of the United States of Great Britain once we've merged. By the way, I also think there should be a bridge. Imagine a bridge between the UK and America. I would, as Prime Minister, I would find the taxpayer cash for that. How good, wouldn't it be lovely just to hop in the car and pop over to New York? So, I'll be Prime Minister, and what I'll do is I will put it through Parliament as legislation, legally binding legislation, that they lose the Duke and Duchess titles. What I might do is I might do a treaty so that it's irreversible. I'm going to use the best lawyers because I don't think they deserve Duke and Duchess either. How can this couple, who hate the royal family so much, right, who have poured such opprobrium over the royal family, over the monarchy, and done the Netflix documentary, they've done the book Spare, the podcast, the Oprah interview. How can they do all that viciousness, those horrible attacks, unfounded claims against an unnamed member of the royal family for wondering what their unborn child would look like? How can they, who have such vitriol towards the palace and towards the firm, possibly in any conscience keep the titles Duke and Duchess? It's the wildest hypocrisy. I would say that if they flew to America and said, we're not using any royal titles, we don't want anything to do with that outfit, then I would respect that. I'd be like, do you know what? You can't argue with that. You know, Megxit was a real thing. They left the country. They walked away from royalty. They don't use the titles. They're just ordinary Harry Mountbatten Windsor, Meghan Markle Mountbatten Windsor Markle. Lady Dame Meghan Markle Mountbatten Windsor, my husband. Princess Catherine is my friend. Upon her, I wish no harm. So no, of course they keep the bloody titles. I mean, the Duke and Duchess of double standards. How can you hate an institution and keep the titles? Make it make sense. Well, it's because they've got no values, no ethics, no backbone, no principles. This is a couple. It's what? Are you familiar with Orwellian doublespeak? It's when you say the opposite of what is the case. And their Orwellian doublespeak is about wanting privacy. And therefore, as a result of their desire for privacy, publishing books and making TV documentaries about the innermost aspects of their lives. That is what privacy looks like to the Markles. I think I'm going to start calling them the Markles from now on because Meg's is in charge. Duke and Duchess, by the way, given to them by the Queen when they got married. And this was in addition to Harry being granted other titles. I mean, the guy is so spoiled. How can he complain about the royal family? He was, on his wedding day, he was showered in titles. He got the Duke of Sussex. The Duke of Sussex. He's also the Earl of Dumbarton. And I feel very sorry for the people of Dumbarton having that hanging over them like an albatross. I think they'd rather that Prince Andrew was the Earl of Dumbarton. That's a royal that they can be proud of by comparison. There would be posters and effigies of Prince Andrew all over Dumbarton if they had the choice. It's either that or the rather miserablest, least happy millionaire in the world, old Prince Harry, the H-bomb, my husband. And he's also Harry is Baron Kilkeel in Northern Ireland. The people of Northern Ireland, think of the troubles for decades. The last thing they needed is for Harry to be the face of that great country. Have they not suffered enough? So Meghan got those titles. They all, the whole thing is pretty wild. There was a lot of controversy over what happens with the kids and their titles. Because actually Archie gets the courtesy title of Earl of Dumbarton, even though the couple had reportedly chosen not to use it. But the kids have been showered in titles themselves. And here's the thing about Meghan, right? Not only does she enjoy having the royal titles and still use them, which is hypocritical, she appropriates more titles. Okay, so she's used HRH when she's not HRH anymore. And she called her youngest daughter Lilibet. Now, I've got nothing against this little girl, who I'm sure is a little sweetheart, cute little thing, innocent, caring, bright, nothing like her mother, basically. And so Lilibet, right? There's no way, on my watch, there will be no criticism of a sweet little girl who I'm sure is adorable. And Archie, who Meghan likes to call the other one because he reminds her of Harry. They called her Lilibet. That is, in my view, one of the most offensive things that the couple have done. And again, there's a theme of today's video. It's not the couple. Harry didn't do that. Harry would not countenance using Queen Elizabeth's name for his daughter. He would not do that. But Meghan, she's a bull in a china shop. That's what she's a kid in a sweet shop. And she'll take anything that's not nailed down. This is a woman who steals things. She stole the name of her fashion brand, As Ever, from an actual fashion brand. She stole the title Confessions of a Female Founder from a very successful female founder who's been around for 2 years. And there's something else she stole, which I've forgotten, but you'll remind me in the comments. But she's stolen Queen Elizabeth's name. And Lilibet, okay, that was a sacred name. Queen Elizabeth, by the way, a peerless individual, a true Great Britain. And Lilibet was Queen Elizabeth's childhood nickname. It originated because she couldn't pronounce her own name properly when she was a toddler. So she just used to say Lilibet instead of Elizabeth. Her family affectionately mimicked her mispronunciation and began calling her Lilibet. So it was used by close family members, including her father, King George VI, who once famously said, Lilibet is my pride, Margaret is my joy. Isn't that wonderful? What a father to say that. Lilibet is my pride, Margaret is my joy. Her mother, the Queen's mother, Queen Elizabeth, a very fine lady, the Queen Mother, she used the nickname Lilibet as well. Loved the Queen Mother. We should do a Queen Mother special, shouldn't we? Lived to a great age. She was famous during the Second World War for walking through dangerous rubble during the Blitz and being photographed in black and white, meeting people whose lives had been destroyed by the latest German bombs. That's what public service looks like, right? Not flying off to Montecito and moaning about your life. She rolled her sleeves up. She walked among the rubble. She met people affected by the Second World War. What a heroic and fabulous down-to-earth lady. And someone said to her, why do you do so many engagements? And she said, it's the rent. And what she meant by that is, we're very lucky people. We get paid by the taxpayer and we have a job of work, which is public service. She got it. The Queen got it, Queen Elizabeth. King Charles gets it. Prince William gets it. The H-bomb and Markle, the Lady Dame Markle of Mountbatten Windsor, does not get it because they don't have that sense of pride or honor or duty. There's no duty. The only duty Meghan's got is to herself and her fledgling career as an influencer. You couldn't make it up. Oh, by the way, the other reason I love the Queen Mother is because she was very human. You know, she was good-humored. She was fun. And she enjoyed her life. She loved the racing. She had her binoculars. She was a big-time gambler. She loved a flutter on the horses and loved to collect her winnings and count them out. Count out those fivers. Ooh, look how much money one has won. Ooh. Sorry, Queen Elizabeth's turned into Meghan Markle there. You got the Queen Mother, Meghan Markle mashup. The other one is that I loved was Princess Margaret, who also called Elizabeth Lilibet. They had a complicated relationship, but it was a great relationship because they were different from each other. So, yes, and also there's no competition. If your sister's the Queen, she's won. Margaret accepted that. Margaret just enjoyed herself, smoked cigarettes, had relationships with men, and drank gin and tonic. Queen Elizabeth as well, by the way, the Queen Mother, she loved to drink as well. Boy, could she put it away. By the time she passed, her liver was the size of Texas. She was hardcore. Shots, you name it. Line them up, she used to say, as she counted her winnings. £5, £10, look how much one has won. Another gin and tonic, please. Make it a large one. Upon Catherine, I wish no ill. Prince Philip, also Queen Elizabeth II's husband, of course, used the term or the name Lilibet throughout their marriage. It was a term of endearment, and he was one of the few that continued to use it well into her adult life. The reason why is because he was her husband. He was allowed to use it. And what does Meghan do? She goes and steals it. That was the theft of royal IP and an emotional, sacred name that should never have been taken. I'm sure that Harry was reluctant because he knew that you just don't do that. You don't touch anything to do with Queen Elizabeth's legacy. And don't call it a compliment to the Queen. It's not. It's my understanding. Well, we've got the quote. You'll know this, which is the Queen reportedly said, they've taken my name now, my nickname. They've taken all I had. It's all I had. I think this was after the passing of Philip. And devastating. If that's true, if that quote is true, that the Queen was upset about it, can you imagine? But that's what Meghan does. She also, by the way, is still using her royal cipher. That's a royal crest with her uppercase M. And that's the royal warrant thing. It's a monogram given to her by the Queen again. But you can't appease these bullies. She's a dictator. You can't negotiate with dictators. And she put that monogram, which has royal implications, which apparently she hates the royal family. She put it on her handwritten letter to a podcaster called Amanda Hirsch, who basically she weirdly stalked for a while. I do think there is definitely more than the air of the bunny boiler about our Megs. So there you go. I think I've laid out the reasons why I think that when William becomes king, he should strip the couple of their HRH. He's got to. They have committed untold crimes against the family. Life is hard enough for that family. They've all, they lost Philip. They lost the Queen, who had to grieve her own husband, alone during that global health crisis that we had a few years ago. And she was there in the chapel with her mask on, in black, alone. And so she's been through that. We know what William's been through with his poor wife and her cancer diagnosis, and King Charles. They don't need this. They do not need this. There's one other thing that the couple are hanging on to, and it's a signet ring. Okay, during the 2025 Invictus Games in Canada, Meghan was seen wearing a gold signet ring engraved with the couple's royal monogram. Crafted by Bentley and Skinner, the very expensive jewellers. Mrs. Dolan would love some. We can't afford it, love. I'm on YouTube. Give it time. And wearing the ring was interpreted as a subtle nod to her royal titles. Of course it was, because she won't let go. Because she claims to hate the royals, but she loves every minute of it. Why does Meghan love the royal titles so much? I can think of a few million reasons. Folks, it's been great to talk. I will be putting out some videos over Easter. There will be some family action going on, but I can't let you down. The royal stories don't stop. Other big showbiz news, global politics. The Mark Dolan Show is a potpourri of material. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure and hit the subscribe button. I would love that if you wouldn't mind. It helps me with the channel. Also hit the notification bell because I might do surprise editions of the show that you're not expecting. If there's breaking news, I just jump straight into my studio. I'm very lucky here. I just live in front of the River Thames. I might go for a swim later because I'm getting a little sweaty because of Meghan's behaviour and her selfishness with those titles. And so you get a notification button, you get the emergency monologue, you get an alert. And then the other crucial thing is I want to hear what you think. It's all about what you think. So let me know in the comments. I read all of them. And go and have a great day. I'll see you over Easter and can't wait for our next video. Bye for now.